What's up guys, Rob here. In today's video, we are going to be reacting to Tai Lopez, who has just been called out on an Instagram page called Baller Busters for allegedly using manipulation and unethical persuasion to basically sell to people in one of his most recent adverts. Now, this analysis has got quite a few layers to it, to be honest with you, because we look at where the line is between, persuading people and marketing to people effectively versus over-promising and under-delivering. And we'll actually be looking at some of Tai's NFT and crypto projects to get a full view on that today and how that was handled and everything. But before I get into all of that, I'm just going to give you a bit of an intro on who Baller Busters are. Baller Busters are they basically just focus on all sorts of different online gurus, fake gurus, I'll put them in, commas there because they may be wrong sometimes as well. Tai Lopez, Tate Bros, Andy Elliott, Wes Watson, Liver King, etc. You can see that they call out a whole bunch of different people. Luke Belmar. Some of the things they say are really, really interesting. Some other things they say I think are a little bit harsh, but regardless of that, we're going to be going through what they said about Tai here and breaking down the persuasion and psychology that I think Tai is using in the video. So this is why I kind of react to other pages who are reacting to fake gurus, because sometimes they will call out the manipulation tactics, but because of the line of work I'm in and the business that I run, I understand the persuasion tactics. I understand the techniques, and I can kind of break them down for the common person who sat at home for you guys to make it more easily understandable. And I also know, because of that experience, what is a little bit shady and what is perhaps not that shady at all, right? And it's just effective marketing. So this is what Baller Busters say about Tai. First of all, they've got a big, massive clown face here. And I assume in this part here, they are quoting Tai. They say, 15 minutes can save you 15 years. Smiling clown face. I will coach you one-on-one to grow your income or scale your business while working less, improving your health and living a fulfilled life. Use the link below to schedule your call. See, the right mentor can save you over 10 years of mistakes, ... The right advice, connections, and network have the power to completely change your life. 12 months from now, your business could look completely different. But let's be honest, you don't need to waste hours of your time on small talk. Going around in circles. Beware mentors that have all the time in the world to coach you. They're probably not as successful as you might think. The best mentors can change your life within a 15-minute conversation. Click the button below to book a one-on-one call with me. Smiling clown face, smiling clown face, smiling clown face. Hashtag Tai Lopez. All right, so I have mixed feelings on Tai Lopez. And we'll go into that, why I think that way, a little while later in the video. But first of all, let's watch the video. Let's break it down. Let's see what Tai is saying, which is so controversial. Okay, let's go.
One-on-one conversation with me. I've been asked this for years. Can I pay you to have a lunch? And depending on how busy I've almost always said no, or I've said like, I don't have lunch, 25 grand. But even then, when people said they do it, I've been so busy. So what I like to do.
So interesting. He's pitching people for a quick conversation with him as like a mentor conversation. But the first thing he's done in the conversation there, he has established something called social proof. And social proof is the persuasion principle of basically that people have a tendency to look to others to decide on what actions they're going to take. So for instance, if you see two same products, one has loads of testimonials, the other product doesn't have any testimonials at all, any reviews, you will most likely pick the product which has loads of testimonials. And Tai has social proofed himself there by saying, I've been asked to do calls with people for a long time. He's saying that a lot of people are requesting this. He's also added a little bit of scarcity in as well by saying how he isn't typically available. These are subtle techniques which you might miss and just take someone for the exact words they're saying, not really what they're doing, the subtext of what they're doing in the background. So let's continue.
Do now, because it's pretty interesting. I open up my calendar. I'll put a link below. I do a simple paid 15-minute call with me. And I limit it. I only do, a handful a week. And I do it because I meet a lot of interesting entrepreneurs.
So we got a disclaimer down here. TaiLopez.com does not promise or guarantee your financial success nor warrant any earnings or performance claimed for his or other products. Success in business or investing depends on many factors, including passion, business acumen, work ethic, grit, and general economic conditions. Good luck in pursuing your financial dreams. Interesting disclaimer there. Makes me think that perhaps he's been called out for exaggerating claims before, perhaps when he's, sold to someone. I don't know that for sure though. That's just what that indicates to me. He says that he now has 15-minute slots for people. So one thing, because I've done coaching myself, I've done, mentoring myself both ways for other people, and I've had it myself as well. It's very hard to get a lot of knowledge out of a person or direct specific knowledge and have them truly understand your situation in 15 minutes. But there's a little bit more on this, which I'll tell you in a little while, where Tai actually used to sell just 5-minute slots. And I'll tell you in a little while why I think that's wrong. But it's 15 minutes this time. And somebody has commented here, what in the world can be accomplished in 15 minutes? And this person says, the Baller Busters have replied saying, $1,270 is the fee. It's quite a lot of money for 15 minutes.
People, it's not that expensive, that are actually serious. I paid lots of people. I paid $250,000 to have lunch with Steve Ballmer, who's now the 9th richest person in the world. So I practice.
So he's paid $250,000 that he slipped in to have dinner with Steve Ballmer. And he said a big number there because it acts as a contrast to the small number of 1,270, which when you put two numbers together, one is drastically bigger than the other. What will happen is the smaller fee actually seems insignificant. So this used to affect me all the time, this contrast bias it's called, when I used to go to the supermarket. So I would go to a coffee shop near enough every day and I would pay £6 for just a single coffee, right? But when I would go to the supermarket, I would see like a pot of premium coffee, which was like £7 for the pot. And I think to myself, that's expensive, right? But it was only expensive given the context of what was going on. And the context was the £7 was expensive to all the other different types of coffee, which are maybe like pots of coffee for £3, £4. So I'd be looking at the £7 in that situation. But when I would go to a coffee shop every single day, I would pay £6 every single day, not even question it, because that's just what the prices are in there. So that's contrast bias. And things and numbers only have kind of relevance in your brain and you can understand them in the presence of other numbers. So for instance, he said 250,000 there. It's not that expensive. I've paid 250,000 to Steve Ballmer, 9th richest person in the world, I think he just said. And basically, he's put those two numbers together there. That's my opinion. I don't know if he's done that for sure. I think it's likely. Let's continue.
That's what I preach. But if you want to have a private one-on-one conversation with me about what you're doing, get my input, some quick things that can save you a decade, maybe insights, maybe some introductions of mine, I'll put a link below. It's a paid 15-minute call.
If it truly would save you a decade in time, it's a great pitch because it would totally be worth it, right? If you could go into the future and look at what your future scenario would be versus what your future scenario would be if you got the right mentorship, they'd probably be drastically different, right? But then I suppose what Baller Busters are saying here, when they're saying, see the right mentor can save you over 10 years of mistakes, they're saying, basically, my interpretation of that is he really going to save you 10 years of time? I don't know, because then it's not worth it if you don't get any time saved, right? It's pretty obvious, some of the stuff that I'm saying here, but you understand what I'm saying. It's very subjective of whether something is worth it, right?
Once you pay, you'll see my open calendar. It kind of books out, and then we just do a 15-minute call on like Zoom or Google Meet. And sometimes they go over. Sometimes I'll do them 20, 30 minutes, but they're 15 minutes. And it's been interesting. I just started doing this because I've been asked literally for almost a decade if I would do this, and I've always said no.
He's going with that social proof again. He's been asked for almost a decade if he's doing this. Bear in mind, guys, when I say and point out these techniques that people are doing, it's hard to really know if that technique is accurate, right? Because you could say, people have been asking me for a decade to have my calendar open so I could do one-to-one calls with them. And that might be true, right? In which case, that's ethical and it's part of a true story. And I feel when people look at gurus or fake gurus, they're too far either way. They either think this person is completely trying to scam them, or they're completely naive and they think like, oh yeah, he's not had his calendar open in like 10 years, right? And now it's time. They've got this small gap in time to actually get some advice from Tai Lopez. And I find it interesting that a lot of the population, and this is why I do the channel as well, a lot of the population can't distinguish between the two extremes there. Like, life is not black and white. Life is shades of gray all over the place, right? So let's continue. Let's see what else he's saying there.
Oh, but I was like, need to experiment more, Ty. So I've tried this. You know, it's not about the money, but if I do a free calendar,
it's always about the money. When life is pretty much, you know, made by making money. You acquire things, freedom, status, key core things in life because of money. It's always about the money.
Booking, then, you know, it books out and it doesn't work, right? So I can only do a handful of these a week. So it depends on my schedule. Sometimes my calendar is blocked out completely, but I've been doing personal branding. I built my first funnel in 2001, personal branding since 2009. I've seen it all. I've got 8 million social media followers. I've spent hundreds of millions on.
See this right here? Spent hundreds of millions on ads. I've got 8 million followers. I've been doing this since 2008. These are credibility triggers, also known as authority bias as well. He's establishing authority. And what psychology says is that basically, and the psychology and persuasion, basically, we have a tendency to listen to figures who we think are authority figures. If we don't perceive someone as an authority figure, we most likely won't buy from them. But not only that, in day-to-day life as well, we probably won't listen to them either. We've all had situations where, or we've seen situations with our friends where they don't view their parent as an authority figure, so they just never listen to their parent. And then we've seen other friends where they do view their parent as an authority figure and they follow everything. Same thing works here. Psychology says that people who are perceived as authority figures have a tendency to comply to them more, have a tendency to obey their instructions more, and have a tendency to view them as valuable.
Ads, I bought companies, sold companies, I've made mistakes, I've done things right, I've gone viral, all the things I've done physical.
He's letting a little bit of humbleness there, talking about made mistakes. I'm going to actually talk about that in a few moments and why that actually loses trust for me.
Or e-com, you know, I've done coaching, life coaching, public speaking, affiliate marketing, drop shipping, basically everything you see, I've done. So if you want to get my input on what you're doing, so far I've done it and people are just like, can I book a second call? And I'm like, no.
See that again? He's almost left a review for himself in his own advert, right? That's social proof again. He's like, people want to book a second call with me when they have a first call. So people usually who are listening to this will take that at face value, right? Because remember, the people who listen to him, remember that from what I said earlier, that a lot of people don't actually sit in the middle. They either hate the gurus or they really love them, right? They don't think, you know what? He could actually just be social proofing himself there.
So click the link, grab a spot on the calendar, and look forward to meeting you.
So interesting video, lots of different psychological biases going on there. And I think Baller Buster's main criticism is that he's making it sound too simple. He's offering a 15-minute slot, and realistically, what could change in 15 minutes? You could argue it's very expensive for 15 minutes as well, coming in at $1,200. I don't know if that's true. That's just from what I've read on one of the comments there. They've also said, beware of the mentors that have all the time in the world to coach you. They're probably not as successful as you might think. I would have a tendency to agree with that. A lot of successful people that I know, they don't have the time unless they are focusing on building up the personal brand. So maybe that's what Ty is doing here. I paid him $24K and all he did was tell me how he was going to spend it on Bitcoin. I don't know if that's true there. I used to join his course in the early days. I think we've all joined his courses, to be honest with you, because he was the OG in the space. He must be really hurt if he's pimping out his time like this. Listen, no one is changing your life during a 15-minute lunch. These scammers need to be stopped. So you can see the comments are quite focused on, that he's a massive scammer. From what he did there, yeah, he did put in scarcity. I would assume it's probably artificial scarcity because he was like, look, I haven't got all the time in the world to do this. That could just be his preference though, so it's really difficult to say. He's added that social proof, he's got that authority in there as well. He's trying to get some sort of commitment out of you by, you know, first of all, paying him the money and then booking your call afterwards like that. To be honest, I don't think this advert's that bad. However, what I would say, and one of the reasons that I'm actually pretty torn on Tai, to be honest with you, is that I think it was back in 2021 or 2022, he bought a lot of different companies, which this person is talking about here. It's Lou Kim who says, isn't this the donkey who used to sell mail order programs on how to make money posting classified ads, and recently tried to buy the IP of a bunch of bankrupted companies like Pier 1 Imports and Bed Bath & Beyond to try and bring them back as e-com brands, and then filed for bankruptcy themselves, right? Which is absolutely true. So Tai and I believe Alex Mayer bought Radio Shack, Pier 1, Models, and then they ended up filing for Chapter 11, according to this article, where basically it racked up 200 million in debt. Now, obviously, entrepreneurs, they take risks all the time and they fail. You know, sometimes they succeed. More often than not, they probably fail. Being an entrepreneur, it comes with the title of being kind of involved in risk all the time, that you fail a lot more than you actually succeed. And that, I believe, is some of the realities of actually being an entrepreneur. But one thing that really stood out to me in this actual whole process here that doesn't really get discussed, and this comment kind of alludes to it here, this bit of this article, it says, it makes it more difficult for Rev to raise more funding with investors who might be thinking you guys just lit millions on fire. So basically, Tai and Alex took a load of investor money. Some people believe upwards of 270 million. And they used that money, the brands went bankrupt, and then they kind of ghosted all of the investors afterwards. When you invest in something, you don't actually know you're going to get an ROI on whatever you've invested in. But it seems there's a lot of reports online that, you know, the 270 million was just gone. I don't know if that figure's correct there. That's what Troy Kearns is saying, that money was spent on, you know, these investments in this business and nobody got anything out of it. Now, one thing I do know for sure is that not only did they get investments from investors for the brand and the millions as well, they also released crypto and NFTs to the communities. And these NFT and crypto projects arguably failed. Now, we can totally do a deep dive on this at some point, but Tai essentially for his NFTs sold 3 different tiers. He sold silver tier, which is the cheaper tier, the gold tier, which is the medium tier, and then the black tier, which is the most expensive tier. And a lot of these NFT projects, Tai and Alex just didn't deliver on. We got Monkey Mark here. This is a private Discord where people were discussing the project's failure. Tai and Alex stole millions. And looking more through this Discord thread here, when people were reaching out about unfulfilled promises, they were just getting banned. These Discords, which had the NFT and the crypto projects, are all deleted now, but there's private communities which have been set up because basically they think that Tai ripped them off, right? And that's seemingly correct as well, because if you look at some of the things here that Tai promised, he promised that with one of your NFTs, he's gonna, you know, create an NFT hotel, restaurant, and club membership as well. But he never delivered on that at all. In fact, he actually didn't answer anybody who asked him any questions about it, but he never refunded on it either. And it's years later now, and he, you know, took a significant amount of money, I imagine, from people, considering the amount of people that were actually complaining. And he released a whole bunch of different cryptocurrencies as well alongside his NFT projects. And a lot of these projects seemingly seem to go to nothing within a few months of him, you know, getting everyone to buy them. So read into that what you will. And there was plenty of different projects. There was things like Knowledge Society coin, which is what we're looking at here. This coin went all the way down within 3-4 months of being sold. Radio Shack token, which went all the way down to basically nothing and has never come back up in the bull market, which was what we're in right now, right? Never came back up at all, indicating that it's just been disowned and forgotten about it. Atlas USV coin, which was once valued at over $1,000 per coin and now sits at $1 per coin, and plenty others. But again, you know, benefit of the doubt, crypto projects can sometimes go to zero. But what bothers me about this entire situation, and I feel free, anybody who knows more information about this, feel free to challenge my views here, is how they handled it. how they didn't acknowledge any of their investors, how they blocked and banned people, which people are reporting here. So the Wall Street Journal got involved to question investors here about what had happened with the project. And people were commenting back saying, I was banned from everything, right? So unfulfilled things, people getting banned so they couldn't speak up, and it was never ever mentioned again. And you can see all of the projects effectively went to zero. Now I found something else which is really concerning, to be honest with you. And it's a post by somebody called OX Beans, and this post happened in 2022 when Tai was just launching his NFT project. And this post says, this guy is obviously part of the crypto community, and it says, hilarious. The Tai Lopez NFT immediately siphons out funds into their team's wallets when you mint, just so they can scam your ETH just a little bit faster. And then it's got all this code down here. So I don't really know if that's an actual problem, because I have no idea what's going on in the crypto community. But what does have an idea is ChatGPT. So I went and asked ChatGPT if this is an actual problem. And I said, just saw this tweet. It's a commentary and I don't understand the crypto space. Why is this bad or is it not? I want to give ChatGPT the option to actually disagree that this is bad at all. And ChatGPT essentially responded saying that the key concerns is the immediate payouts, and the potential issues is that there's no holding period. So legitimate NFT projects often hold the funds within the contract until certain conditions are met, like project milestones or DAO governance. Immediate distribution can be seen as a sign that the team prioritizes grabbing the funds quickly, reducing accountability. And then it says, legitimate versus suspicious projects. In legitimate projects, funds are often handled in a way that ensures user trust. They may lock the funds in a smart contract, use multi-signature wallets, distribute the funds after certain milestones. In suspicious projects or scams, teams immediately take the funds without offering a clear, transparent plan for how the funds will be used. Is this bad? If the project is legitimate, immediate payouts might just be part of the business model, though it's not ideal for user trust. If the project lacks transparency, this behavior can be seen as a red flag, as it looks like the team is trying to quickly extract funds from users before delivering value or without a safeguard mechanism in place. I then asked, who pays for the transfer to the team wallet? When you buy an NFT, because the Ethereum network is expensive, you have to pay something called gas. And gas is effectively a fee for doing a transaction. But you've got the transaction of buying the NFT, first of all, from Tai Lopez during the mint, which is, the first initial sale. And then you've got the transaction to the team's wallet. So you pay the gas, the fee for buying it from Tai first, but who pays the gas, the fee for transferring it to the team? And ChatGPT responded saying the user who is actually buying the NFT pays for the fee to the transfer to the team as well. So again, this still isn't inherently bad, but let's type into ChatGPT something else. I typed into it, it's 2 years later now and the team only partially fulfilled on the NFTs and the community discords are deleted. What do you think? ChatGPT responds saying, based on what you've described, it looks very likely that this was a classic rug pull or cash grab, a common scam in the NFT and crypto space, where a project launches, collects funds from users, makes partial or no effort to fulfill promises, and then disappears, leaving buyers with worthless or incomplete assets. Which kind of matches what the people in the Discord were complaining about. Bear in mind, I believe these NFTs, this is OpenSea, a place where you trade NFTs, were sold in March 2022, because that's when Tai joined OpenSea so they could be traded on a different market. And these NFTs were for 3 years. So March 2022 to March 2025. It is currently January 2025. And as I talked about before, all of the Discords, which are a key element of some of those NFTs, those communities have all been shut down, right? So it's still within the time period, but they have been shut down. And so that's March 2022. And you can see roughly within a year of, a year and a bit of starting this NFT community, they'd practically lost all value. Value is supposed to be tied to utility as well. So I don't know, right? Did Tai get unlucky with launching this project and asking for investments from people in this period of time? Because right in that period of time, we could see, we entered a bear market here. We're back in a bull market now, but all these crypto projects, including the tokens, have all seemingly been abandoned. Could it be just due to bad luck? I don't know, but it still doesn't excuse the fact that there was no communication, no refunds on things which weren't fulfilled. There's also weird things written in the contract which seem to transfer any type of crypto straight to the team while the user pays for it. And that's not even talking about the hundreds of millions, apparently, according to the articles, that have been invested in the actual overall brand from various different investors. So that is one of the reasons why I don't really have that much trust there for Tai Lopez. When I was a manager of a restaurant business, I remember one particular day where everything was going wrong. Basically, the whole building was on fire. There was like a breakout of a fight happening in the middle of the day. All of like people were complaining about food. There was some sort of like other dispute going on. I had like 3 people who called in sick. Everything was going wrong that day. And one of my area managers had come in, and I didn't realize he was sitting down witnessing the whole thing. And he was a very strict guy. And my little 23-year-old self eventually clocked on that he was in the building when everything was going wrong on this day. And I went up to him thinking to myself that this guy is really going to have no mercy on me at this point. And I was like, I went over to him and I was like, I am so sorry. Like, the building is an absolute mess. I was trying to avoid, the guillotine. And he said, you know what, Rob? He said, I've been watching everything that's going on, and mistakes can happen and obstacles can come up. And some days you can have a really terrible day. But what matters is how you respond to that and how you handle that. And he was like, I've been watching what you've been doing to try and control these situations, and you've been doing everything right to the best of your ability within your control. And I have remembered that for years. And that kind of makes me reflect on this situation here. Like, in entrepreneurship, things are going to go wrong. You might be called out by certain people. You might, have your brand affected in ways which are beyond your control and things like this. And your business might go bankrupt. Your crypto coins might go to zero. However, one thing which I don't think is excusable is the fact that no communication was sent out about any of these things. It was just swept under the rug. And it seemed to appear that basically Tai had given up on this project and moved on. Not only that, denied it ever existed. And when I look at something like that, for me, that is a huge red flag. And I'm happy to be challenged on that. But everything I've given you there is my interpretation and just my opinion of events which happened there. I don't know for sure the ins and outs, but that's what, from what I can see, looked like happened. So when I look at gurus online, I think to myself, actions speak louder than words. I know lots of people who come across as real assholes, but then you look at the actions they do and they have integrity, they have transparency, and they do the right things. But then I see other people who say lots of nice things and tick all of the boxes, outwardly. However, they make decisions which are against the best interest of a lot of people. And so when I look at things like this, I look at what Tai's doing. I think maybe perhaps he's being a little bit unfairly criticized in that Ballbusters post. But then I think about the smoke that has happened before. And I think maybe these guys are picking up on fires which have previously happened. And from what I can see, I would like to see some sort of response from Tai on how all those projects worked. The NFTs, the crypto stuff which he released, why they all went to zero, why there was no communication, why investors felt like they were all having their money set on fire, why no communication was sent to them either, seemingly. So I don't know, it's hard to understand who is a really trustworthy guru in the space, but I'll do my best to break down the psychology and the persuasion of what they do and leave it up to you guys to decide, because at least you're a little bit more informed then, because I have an eye for this, because that's what I do, right? Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments, and take it easy. See you in the next video.